Welcome into this week's 5 Things to Watch edition of Beyond the Arc here on High School Cube News. Brian Chimino back with you with Michael O'Brien of the Chicago Sun-Times. Friday, Upstate 8 in at number 1. Number 22, Larkin, will be facing off with Geneva.
We know a lot about Larkin, Christian Negron. They lost their backcourt, that great backcourt from last year. But, they've rebounded, and they've had a really nice season. Christian Negron is just getting better and better. Over the next few years, he's going to be really one of the marquee players in the area. And they're facing a Geneva team who is super tall. They've just got tons of big men. The guards are the issue, so they lost to Neuqua Valley. They've dropped another game or two. But they have high hopes for the season. This is going to be a big game in the conference, a big game in the area, and I'm really excited to see what Larkin has other than Negron. I think this game could go either way. Geneva needs it a little bit more than Larkin. Geneva's really well coached, and they're going to have a plan for Larkin, but I expect Negron and his boys to really be the favorite in this one.
The number 2 thing to watch, a big non-conference game between two top 25 teams up in Lake Forest. On Friday, it'll be the number 6 Scouts versus number 24 Joe Mooney and Notre Dame.
Lake Forest is a fun team to watch. As we said, a few times, they are undefeated and they got a real test coming in a Notre Dame team. They can play with anybody. If Joe Mooney's hot, look out. It's going to be a really, really great one to watch. I expect a packed gym, even though Lake Forest gym is not too big and it does not take much to pack it. They will be there and it should be a good one. You have to like Lake Forest in it, with what they've done, but Notre Dame has everything they need to pull off an upset. They've got Amar Bakar in the post, who won't be able to stop Evan Boudreau, but he'll be able to at least hinder him a little bit, give him something to deal with, and it's going to come down probably to Notre Dame's outside shooting. They're going to have to hit a bunch of threes, most likely to win this game.
The number 3 thing to watch on Saturday, up in Lisle, number 11 Bennett taking on Fenwick.
Yeah, these are two teams that, they aren't super talented. They're well coached, and you do not want to play them. They're not teams that are going to be an easy win for anybody. Bennett is on a high. Fenwick is on a low. Fenwick's actually out of the rankings right now. They could still be in there, but their resume is looking a little weak. They don't have that great win, even though they've played really tight games against really good teams. But you have to like Mike Smith and Jamal Nixon in this one. I think Fenwick's the favorite. They've got more talent. Mike Ballard needs to get going. He had played really well the start of the year, and they're going to need his size against Bennett. He's going to kind of be the X factor in this game.
The number 4 thing to watch also this Saturday, you almost saw this game at Proviso West. Number 2 St. Joe's on the road at number 13 Kenwood.
Yeah, St. Joe's and Kenwood, you're looking at a ton of Division I players, 5 or 6 or maybe even 7. St. Joe's is coming off that great run at Proviso West. Kenwood also had a really good Proviso West. I think they took a lot of confidence from it. It's a young team and a young up-and-coming program that was able to play with just about everybody. They had a blowout or 2 in there to end. I think Kenwood needs this game more than St. Joe's. They need to get a big win to really keep things rolling, but it's just going to be so much talent on the floor that it's a game you don't want to miss.
And the number 5 thing to watch this week, the Wheeling Hardwood Classic champions, number 23 Lake Park, will be hosting Conant on Saturday.
Have we ever talked about Lake Park before in Beyond the Arc history? I don't think so, but they deserve it. I mean, they won the win in any holiday tournament is a big deal. It's hard to do. You got to rip off 4 or 5 wins against teams ready to go. Marcus McDaniel, that's the guy who led Lake Park. I'll be at this game. I'm going to check it out. Conant's a good test. You can always count on Conant. They're always above 500. They're really well coached. They're a solid program, so I figured it's a good opportunity to go out and see what Lake Park is all about. It's always fun when a high school basketball team you don't know anything about, that has no star, pulls out, and somehow in January, in the midst of all this Simeon and St. Rita and Stevenson talk, people are wondering about Lake Park. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep the roll going. They've got a couple losses early in the year. One of them they've avenged. And they don't have any huge win yet, but that win over Notre Dame, you got to take notice. Notre Dame's a solid team. They beat them by 10 in that Wheeling title game. So it appears Lake Park is for real, and we will report back next week on what Lake Park has.
And that is your weekly 5 Things to Watch edition here on High School Cube News. Check out our YouTube channel, High School Cube News, for Best Long Weekly MVP segment. And this week, it's the one you've all been looking for, the mystery man, Marcus Lovett of Morgan Park, sitting down with Beth Long. For Michael O'Brien, I'm Brian Chimino. We'll see you next week with a whole new week of Beyond the Arc.